Hey guys, we are going to have some fun today. We got bridge violins in the house. Oh, we're going to be talking about their electric violins and their acoustic electric violins. We're going to get demos of all these, and we're going to have a chat with Paul and Ceris, the founders of Bridge Violins. So buckle in, it's going to be a lot of fun. First, I want to talk about their electric violins. There are two different names there, the Aquila and the Lyra. Aquila means it's a 4-string violin. Lyra means it's a 5-string violin. And then there are two different levels of each of these. There's the regular bridge violin that you'll know because it's got a B on the headstock. And then there's their high spec instrument, which is the dragon. And you know that because it has a dragon on the headstock. So there's actually four, right? There's the bridge Aquila, the bridge Lyra, the Dragon Aquila, and the Dragon Lyra. And we're going to talk to Paul and Ceris a little bit about the differences between the Dragon and the regular bridge. But I do want you to hear these. We're going to hear a 5-string, because if I get a chance to pick one up, I'm picking a 5. So let's listen to both the bridge Lyra and then the Dragon Lyra right now. All right, so you can hear both of those instruments. And then we've got two different levels of acoustic electric instruments. They've got the Tasman, which comes in 4-string and 5-string. And they've got the Golden Tasman, which is the high spec, which comes in 4-string and 5-string. And I'm going to play a couple of videos for you here. We're going to hear the regular Tasman unplugged, and then the Golden Tasman unplugged. And then we'll hear the Tasman direct, and then the Golden Tasman direct. All right, so that is what the instruments sound like, right? I feel like we're ripping through this pretty fast because I want to get to the chat that I had with Paul and Ceris so you can learn a little bit more about these instruments and where they came from and who makes them. And yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it?
I was just telling Paul that we find that our customers really love the instruments, but they also really love feeling like there's a connection to the people that design and built the instruments. I'd love to, I know the story about how the company got started, but I'd love to hear you guys tell it.
Violin college. We were both at Violin college. It's violin school in Newark, learning to become violin makers. And we were getting to the end of our third year, and I played in a band, and we had a violin player in our band, and there was a real sound problem, a real sound issue with trying to make this violin work, because we were like a rock Cayley band. It was really a voyage of discovery from then on in, with all the technical background of violin making, and then molding that into what was needed to make a violin work in a modern setting, really. So that's why it's got a hollow body. That's, you know, and we take an awful lot of care about setup and neck thicknesses and all that sort of thing. So that's sort of where it began. So, but from the first instrument we ever made to the instruments we make now is a 25-year journey.
I love that. So what was the thing that made you think about the Kevlar and carbon fiber body?
Well, that was sort of my experience in playing gigs in a sort of rock and roll folk world, that I needed something to defend myself with when, you know, the crowds got angsty. No, it was just looking at ways that you could make something that held the characteristics of the violin with a hollow body, but you still had structural integrity.
Yeah, it was the strength.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
and you could maintain all the reference points. So by using glass, you can do that, but it's not structurally sound. So we then use Kevlar and carbon fiber. So that gave us the sort of, it's basically like an eggshell. Mm-hmm. The carbon fiber and the Kevlar work in opposition to each other when it's tensioned.
It was boat makers who we went to first,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they did a lot of experiments with us using different materials. But because there's no sound post in there, all the strength has to be in the arch.
Don't notice when I've been playing other electrics for a while, and then I pick up a bridge, there's so much haptic feedback that the bridge gives you underneath your chin that other solid body instruments don't.
But that's where we've gone with the electric. We tried to maintain those sort of almost subconscious feelings that you get when you're playing. Your instrument, as far as I remember my grandfather saying to me that when I was but a small boy, so it was a long time ago, he was a brass bandsman from the northeast of England, a coal miner. And he said he was a euphonium player, and he said, my instrument is my best friend. And if it's sort of, I know it might sound a bit odd, but if you don't get anything from your instrument, then how much of a friend is it?
Right. I'd love to ask about the headstock, the really unique headstock that bridge violins have. Now that's a tip of the hat to something back past, right?
That's a viola da gamba. It's Stradivari viola da gamba. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
she had a hand in it.
Yeah, we thought
he was pretty good, wasn't he? He was a pretty good guy to you know. So we thought, well, we'll tip our hat to him.
And then the F holes, the lightning bolt F hole, where'd that idea come in?
Well,
just an idea.
Yeah, it's an idea.
Yeah, just carved it.
Ziggy Stardust, I suppose.
No, it wasn't Ziggy Stardust. No. And I'm just like to say it was pre-Harry Potter.
It was pre-Harry Potter, yes. It was. It certainly was.
Yeah, no, it was just trying to bring the kind of electric element to the Apple, really.
Yeah, it's a brilliant move.
Yeah, it is until you're trying to fit a sound post.
Oh yeah, does that? I guess it changes things on the Tasman.
Yeah, and then I curse it every time, thinking, "Oh." Anyway.
So I'd love to hear you guys discuss the differences between the Tasman and the Golden Tasman instruments.
The Golden Tasman is a completely higher spec instrument. So the woods are a much higher spec. The varnish is a much higher spec. The profiling of the neck and setup is there's much more care and love put into it, if you like. The electronics are a much higher spec. They work on 6 volts, where the Tasman works on 3. So you get a much better signal to sound ratio. And the pickup is just slightly different. I mean, based all the same, but it's just slightly tweaked. And you get a tilt tone control on the golden Tasman, so it tilts the tone. So the whole instrument, because one of the big problems with violins is that it's very easy to put a violin out of kilter with itself. You can get an A string that suddenly sounds really loud, and so you have to be very careful how you use a tone control. So
I guess the Tasman is something maybe financially is a little more accessible for some people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what we want to do is give somebody a good instrument. That's why the Tasman is our base instrument. If you know, it's a basic instrument, is still right up there. I mean, we have a lot of pro players, who are out touring with big bands that use Tasmans, because that's the level that we believe you should start at. You know, you still got to have an instrument that is set up well. You've still got to have an instrument that plays well and feels right. It's no good providing something that is, you know, cheap for the sake of being cheap, because it does nobody any good. I mean,
well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, can I just say thank you to you for all the promotion you do for us. Really appreciate it. We've only just getting a foot on the social media ladder now.
Yeah, I love it. We'll definitely be pushing your account too. So
I'm leaving. Yeah, bye.
Yes,
Sorry, I've got to go.
bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, I'd love to talk about the difference between the regular bridge and the Bridge Dragon electrics as well.
The Dragon. Yeah. So the Dragon, that is like that's our GT version, really. A lot more time is spent on the neck, profiling the neck. The setup, there's more time spent on the setup. And it comes with bells and whistles. So it comes with fine tuner pegs fitted. You can choose the color you have it in, or colors you have it in. The electronics in it are of a much higher spec. Pickup slightly different again. Also, you get a headphone jack or an auxiliary jack out. So you can either use that for a mono set of earbuds, you can send it to your iPhone, you can send it to a recording unit, or whatever you want to send it to. And then that works on a 6-volt system. So that all is just a much higher quality instrument. It's good fun. We like it.
I guess we should mention too that it's not just bridge violins. You guys do make violas and cellos as well.
Oh yeah. Yes. In fact, you are the only place outside the UK that has the viola.
That's fantastic.
In fact, you've got the viola. You're the only other place in the world that has the viola. But
That's
you've
awesome.
got it before we've launched it.
I guess the other thing I want to mention to people, some violins come with a case. The case that comes with the bridge violins is fantastic. It's a beautiful case, and it's form fit to the instrument.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hardwood case and cupboard and music pocket and that sort of thing. But if you're carrying an expensive instrument, put it in a decent case. You know, hey, that's all you've got protecting you. You know, your best friend from the world. So yeah, put it in a decent case. That's what we feel about it. And I think we supply a bow with it as well. But I mean, the bow is a decent bow.
It is a decent bow. I was going to say, the first time I saw the bow in there, I was like, oh, it's got to be one of those little $10 throwaway bows. And Chris was like, you need to play that bow and try it. And I played it. I went, I don't hate this at all.
Yeah. It's a decent bow. I mean, it makes the whole outfit work. So
playable bow. It's totally a playable bow.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, a lot of players start to use them gigging that, because they can always replace that bow if it gets totaled, whereas they're expensive wooden bows, they can't. So, but yeah, I mean, we try and put the package together so everything sort of fits. You know, we try not to have a weak point. That's the thing.
So that's my chat with Paul and Ceris, or that's a very small portion of my chat with Paul and Ceris. If you'd like to see a longer version of that and a longer version of this video, you can find the Electric Violin Shop Facebook page, and we'll do that live on December 1st, 2021 at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can find a longer version of this whole discussion. I did want to quick show you the case that we talked about. This is a really fantastic case. This is the case that comes with it. You see the bow in there. Really, really like these violins a lot, and I think it's cool that we get a chance to sort of connect with the makers of this instrument. As always, you can check out our YouTube channel, and you can see a couple other videos here. So thank you guys for hanging out, and we will see you again next time